Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack open the digital toolbox that literally builds every single app for every iPhone, Mac, and, well, every Apple device out there. We're talking about Xcode.
All right, let's just dive right in. If you really want to understand Apple's entire software kingdom, you've got to start with the one tool that holds all the keys.
So, what is Xcode really? It's what's known as an Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. But let's break that down. In simple terms, if you want to create an app that runs on an Apple device, you have to go through Xcode. There's no other way. It's the one and only official gateway.
And when we say the entire ecosystem, we mean it. I mean, think about it. This one single tool is your key to building for everything, from the Mac on your desk to the iPhone in your pocket, the watch on your wrist, and yeah, now even for the wild world of spatial computing with Vision OS.
Okay, so what's actually in this digital workshop? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the core tools developers are using, every single day.
Right. So at its heart, Xcode is an IDE. And the best way to think about that is like an all-in-one workshop for a coder. It packages everything they could possibly need into one spot. You've got your text editor, which is just a fancy place to write the code. You've got the compiler, which translates that human-readable code into machine language the device can actually run. And then you have the debugger, which is like your detective, hunting down and squashing bugs.
You can kind of picture the whole workflow like a digital assembly line. First up, you use something called Interface Builder. This is where you visually design the app's user interface, the blueprint. Then, the compiler, in this case one called Clang, takes all your code and assembles it. And finally, the debugger, LLDB, acts as your quality control inspector, helping you find and fix any little flaws before your app ever sees the light of day.
And this workshop isn't limited to just one language, not at all. It's obviously built for Apple's own creations, Swift and Objective-C, but it also plays really nicely with other heavy hitters like C++, Python, and Ruby. That makes it a super versatile tool for all kinds of different developers.
These days, modern apps aren't built by just one person in a dark room. Collaboration is absolutely key. That's why Xcode has built-in support for Git, which is the gold standard for what's called version control. It basically lets whole teams work on the same project at the same time without stepping on each other's toes. It's a lifesaver.
All right, so that's the basic toolkit. But now let's talk about where it gets really cool. How these tools combine to create some truly game-changing features. Seriously, these aren't just tools. They're basically superpowers for developers.
One of the absolute biggest innovations is a feature they call playgrounds. And this thing completely blows up the traditional kind of tedious coding cycle. You see, the old way was this slow, painful process. You'd write some code, compile it, run the program, see it crash, and then try to figure out why. Playgrounds just skips all that.
What it does is give you instant feedback, like as you're typing. It's a live, interactive environment where you see the results of your code immediately. And that is a total game changer, especially for learning, for just messing around with new ideas, and for prototyping stuff really, really fast.
So here's another superpower, and this one solves a huge practical problem. Have you ever wondered how a developer tests their app on, say, an iPhone 15 Pro, an iPad mini, and a big 27-inch iMac, without having to actually own all three of those devices? I mean, that would get expensive fast, right?
Well, the answer is the simulator. It's this incredibly powerful tool built right into Xcode that lets you run a virtual version of pretty much any Apple device right on your Mac. We're talking everything from the tiniest Apple Watch to the biggest iMac. And this isn't just about saving developers thousands of dollars in hardware, which it does. It's absolutely essential for making sure an app looks and works perfectly on every single screen out there.
But of course, Xcode hasn't just stood still. It first came out way back in 2003, and for more than 2 decades now, it's been constantly evolving, step for step, right alongside Apple's most iconic products.
And when you look at this timeline, you see something amazing. The history of Xcode is the history of Apple's biggest moments. The App Store revolution in 2008, a new version of Xcode made that possible. The shift to Swift in 2014, the language that powers most of the apps you use today, that was Xcode 6. And just recently, in 2023, Xcode 15 opened the door to spatial computing with Vision OS. It's clear, every major leap in hardware had to be enabled by a leap in the software tools first.
You can see that growth so clearly here. I mean, it started as a tool for just one platform, Mac OS. Now, it powers the software for 6 completely distinct, powerful operating systems. That's just incredible.
So, what's next? Where does it go from here? Well, if we look at the very latest versions, it's pretty clear they're pointing towards a brand new kind of partnership in the world of programming.
Yeah, the big story with Xcode 16 is all about artificial intelligence. It's no longer a separate thing, it's being integrated directly into the coding workflow itself. And that's going to fundamentally change what it even means to be a developer.
Apple themselves are talking about a new feature called Swift Assist, and they describe it as having automatic programming and chat query tools similar to GitHub Copilot. So, what does that actually mean? It means developers now have an AI copilot, a partner, sitting right there in their digital workshop, ready to write code, answer questions, and automate the boring stuff.
So when you take a step back, it's pretty wild. What started out as this humble little workshop for making Mac apps has just ballooned into the indispensable powerhouse engine driving Apple's entire software universe.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on, as these incredibly powerful AI tools get more and more integrated. I mean, when the AI starts becoming a true code developer, writing a huge chunk of the code itself, who is the creator? What does that mean for the future of creativity, for the future of software development? That's a big question, and one we're all going to be watching unfold.